Hey guys, welcome to my channel. Today we are going to be doing what if Naruto ate the gum gum no mi disclaimer. There may be mature content and maybe 18 plus. With that stuff out of the way, let's begin chapter 4. Drunken marriage. Naruto ran into Konoha. I can't wait to see the old man's face when I show him my scar, he exclaimed, pointing at the scar underneath his bright blue shirt. Haku was walking timidly beside Kurenai. Naruto grabbed Shino. Come on buddy, he said. Hinata followed silently after the two. Aisin left the two Jonin and Haku. Hey Hinata, you want to train tomorrow? Naruto asked as he sailed across the roof. They looked at the Hokage Tower. She nodded. Sure Naruto, she whispered. The three went straight into the Hokage Tower. His secretary sighed as the team blurred beside her. Hey old man, Naruto greeted loudly. Shino sighed and bowed slightly. Hinata did the same. I've missed you old man. He pulled his shirt up. Check this out. Hinata went bright red and the Hokage laughed. It's good to see you're in tip-top shape, he greeted happily, looking at the white scar. Yep, Naruto said happily. Hokage-sama Kurenai and Gai-san are here, his secretary said. Send them in, the Hokage ordered. The red-eyed Jonin, the green beast, and Haku walked in. Immediately the Hokage waved his hands. A blue pulse went through the office. Who is she? He asked simply. An ice user. She has the ability that allows her to hide in her crystallized mirrors and move at a light speed between ice mirrors, Kurenai explained. Name, the Hokage asked simply. Haku replied calmly. Kurenai nodded at her. Umachi. The Hokage's eyes bulged out, as in the man known Zabuza. She's not a missing name. Zabuza just trained her. Naruto butted. Please old man, let her stay. She's a great ninja. I fought her, I know, he exclaimed. Yes Hokage-sama, she disabled myself. Shino-san, Niji-san, Hinata-chan, and Tenten-chan. Guy agreed. The Hokage looked at the female. She was very pretty, and was smiling faintly. Okay, I'll do the paperwork, he agreed. Okay, come Haku, you can stay in my guest room, Kurenai told the black-haired teen. Naruto turned. Wait, you have a guest room? He stated. Yes, why? She replied cheekily. Naruto's face screwed up, his cheeks went bright red. You had me sleeping on the couch, she screamed. Do you know how uncomfy your couch is? He roared loudly. Shino held the back of his vest. Kurenai smiled. Very, she answered simply. Naruto growled in frustration. Haku laughed. Bye Naruto-kun, she said as she chased after the Jonin. I looked out the window. It is time for myself and Lee's midday extremely youthful training session, Guy hollered, diving out the window. Hinata, Shino, you can go. I must speak to Naruto of something important, he told the two Jonin. Both nodded. See you tomorrow morning, Naruto-kun, Hinata stuttered fondly. Goodbye Naruto, Shino muttered. Show some emotion, Naruto yelled at the bug boy. The old man sighed loudly. Naruto, the council has been haggling me, he told the blonde. About what? Naruto asked, snapping his fingers like a rubber band. The bloodline ability, the Hokage replied. My what? He exclaimed. Your gum-gum, she stated. Oh, it isn't a bloodline, Naruto told the old man. I don't even know it will be passed through to my children, he yelled. I had your body tested, the Hokage explained. You what? I'm sorry, I had to be certain this ability would be passed on, Naruto glared at the old man. The council has been waiting for me to force you into the Bloodline Protection Act. What? The teen stuttered. It's an act that forces the last heir. What about it, Chiha? Naruto exclaimed. He's already been made aware of his obligation to the village. Hokage sighed at the teen sitting Indian style, with his cheeks puffed out. The act forces the last heir of a clan, or the only person in a new clan, he eyed Naruto, will be forced to have multiple children, with multiple women. No, Naruto stated calmly. What? I said no old man, I'll have one wife I love. Naruto jumped over the Hokage's desk, and flew through the window. He flew towards the ground. He slammed into the ground, and immediately shook off the pain in his legs. Hokage ninja said as he appeared in front of the old man. Do you want me to go get Naruto? He asked calmly. No, he'll be fine, the old man replied. Naruto walked down the street, hands in his pockets. He didn't notice when the purple-haired woman grabbed Let's Go. He shook his head. What are you doing? He exclaimed as she dragged him down the street. You owe me dango, she replied calmly. She dragged him towards a bar. Hey wait, I'm underage, I can't go into a bar, he snapped. Benko flicked the headband on his straw hat with a loud ding. This says you're an adult, she stated, dragging him into the bar. She went across the room. Naruto noticed people sending hate-filled glances at them. Hey, an order of dango, she yelled at the grinning bartender. She dropped onto the bar stool. Naruto sat beside her. She smirked like a cat who ate the canary, and too safe, she added. I don't drink, Naruto snapped. Benko smiled and patted him. Oh come on Naruto, live a little, just because you're in love with Kurenai doesn't mean you have to act like her, she taunted. Naruto looked at the purple-haired woman. She noticed a sad swirl in his eyes. What's the matter? She asked. Oh, the stupid BLPA, the old man wants me to use it, he stated. Benko smacked him. You idiot. She snapped, causing the entire bar to look at them. Most boys would be happy they can have multiple women legally, she said. 2 large cups of sake were put in front of Benko. Here, drink. She pushed the glass into the teen's hand. The bartender looked suddenly butted in. He's just a kid, Benko. But out, she argued rudely. Now drink, she threatened. Fine Naruto, he pulled a large green cup into his hand and downed it. She laughed as the teen coughed loudly. She drank her cup easily. Round 2, she told the bartender. Yeah, Naruto announced. 5 hours later. The blonde and purple-haired were laughing loudly. 30 green cups are in front of Naruto and Anko apiece, along with 20 shot cups. They shoved each other jokingly. The people in the bar glared at the loud mouths. Round 31, Naruto called out loudly. Anko, I'm sorry but I'm cutting you off. Take your little friend home, he denied to 2, cowering slightly behind the bar. And please don't make a scene, he instructed. I've been coming here for years and you're cutting me off, she snapped loudly, jumping onto the bar. 2 large men tried to go unnoticed as they went towards the 2. Naruto spun on his stool, the ninja looking at him calmly. And what do you think you're doing? He slurred. The 2 Chunin laughed and reached for him. Anko, he exclaimed. She reacted immediately, doing a backflip. Sailing over the 2, they watched her in awe. Gum Gum Cannon Anko landed woozily behind the 2 as Naruto propelled his hands forward. Anko put her hands on the men's faces and pushed as Naruto's attack slammed into the men's back. They crashed into the ground with a loud thud. The 2 laughed loudly. Is it it? The 2 jokingly taunted. Suddenly a large hand was placed on Naruto's shoulder. Leave now, a large dark-skinned man ordered calmly. Fine. Naruto snapped. He sent his hand and grabbed a large bottle of hard alcohol, and the 2 ran out of the bar, laughing like maniacs. Throwing the bottle of alcohol back and forth, stumbling down the street. Suddenly Anko stopped. Let's get married, she said happily. Naruto stumbled to a stop. What? He questioned. You need a wife, albeit, she slurred. Come on, it will funny, telling your kids that your first wife was married in a drunken stupor, she giggled out. Naruto laughed loudly. He nodded in agreement. You're right, let's go. He fell to the ground. Wait, where do we go? He groaned from the ground. 1 village over. If we move now we'll get there in an hour, she explained happily. Naruto took a large swig and said lead the way. The next morning, Naruto moaned loudly. His head felt like it was being crushed. The aching pounded painfully. He swung his hand around. He felt a silk wrapped around him. Where am I? He groaned, the aching in his head becoming worse. He froze at the feel of silky smooth skin. What did I do? He muttered. Feeling dot, he felt a thick bandage on his left hand. He opened his eyes, only seeing bright red around the entire room. He suddenly felt an arm snake around him. Crap, he exclaimed. He snapped his eyes, and only seeing the pale skin and messy purple hair. Anko, he screamed. Her eyes popped open. Oh crap, they flew out of the bed, landing on a pile on opposite ends of the bed. I'm a pedophile, I slept with an old lady, they screamed in unison, before grabbing their heads in pain. She suddenly froze and looked down at the bandage-covered hands. Please no, she whispered, pulling the bandage. Naruto, your clan symbol, what is it? She asked quietly. Naruto stuck his head over the bed, which he realized now was heart-shaped. The simple swore why. He replied. What did we do? She screamed loudly. Close your eyes, brat, she snapped loudly. Naruto did as he was told quickly. He heard her shuffling around the room. Put your clothes on, idiot, she snapped loudly. Naruto looked around the red room. He could see his shorts hanging on the top of the bathroom door. His t-shirt was under the bed. His straw hat was laying on Anko's side of the bed. He got a flash of the naked purple-haired woman wearing the straw hat underneath him. He placed the hat on his head. His bright orange vest with the red swirl on the back was a quarter of the way out of the window. He felt Anko grab his wrist and tear the bandage of his left hand. A simple yet elegant snake fang was tattooed onto the bottom of his hand. Okay, a tattoo too. How did you convince me to get that? He hollered. It's my symbol, Naruto, she told the blonde. What? He asked. He flashed her hand. It had Naruto's swirl on it. Naruto tripped over his feet and fell onto his back. What the? He groaned. A scroll rolled into Anko. Her eyes widened in fear. What is it? He asked. He gingerly plucked off the ground and opened it. Anko Mitarashi Uzumaki. We didn't, Naruto said as he finally caught up. We did, she gasped. They looked at each other and shrieked, we need to see the old man. The two ninja ran down the road. In Konoha, the Sarutobi was working through Anko and Naruto's knight. Two injured Chunin damaged door. Roads, light posts. Disturbing the peace, he was rubbing his temple. The doors to his office suddenly flew open. The panting Naruto and Anko sailed in. Just a ninja. But Naruto cut him off. We're in trouble. He snapped loudly. They suddenly flashed their hands up in unison, and Naruto threw the marriage scroll at the Hokage. He laughed loudly at the blonde and purple-haired duo in front of his face. He read the scroll, and tears came to his eyes. I can't help you, you see. In your state of mind you agreed to an archaic law that even I can't help you with. Explain, they exclaimed. You see the symbol tattooed to your hand? Both nodded. Well, it's more than just proof of you, he giggled childishly. Marriage, it's a proof of your commitment to your significant other's clan. He looked at the two. And did you consummate marriage? Both went bright red and fell to the ground and curled into a ball. Mumbling came from the two. I'm a pedophile. I slept with an old lady. Anko snapped out of her stupor and said, I have no clan. But you did brand yourself with Naruto's symbol, as he did with you. He looked at the angry couple. Okay, back when this law was passed, clan to clan marriages were, and still to this day are, extremely rare. So once married, the two people brand themselves with proof of their love for one another. The clan symbols both gasped. Exactly with Naruto's recent clan restoration status. I wouldn't marry multiple women, Naruto interrupted loudly. As in essence gave him the clan, and with you bearing Naruto's symbol had made essentially impossible to break this marriage. Why can't Naruto break it? He's the clan head. Anko asked confusedly. Simple, the law states that even a clan head cannot break a clan-to-clan marriage, along with the his binding himself to you, by wearing your mark, he explained calmly. Naruto and Anko looked down, hanging their head low. I hope this will not always be a loveless marriage, the old man sighed. The subdued couple slowly walked down the road. So what are we going to do? Naruto commented calmly. Anko looked and giggled. You should be happy. Why, the boy mumbled. You have a super hot wife, she joked, sidestepping slightly. Naruto felt her breast hidden. He went ruby, and mumbled, cut it out. I was being serious. Well, I'll be moving in with you, and hopefully we can at least begin getting along. Rather than being at each other's throat after 10 minutes, she decided. Yeah, I guess that makes sense, he acknowledged. He looked at the clock hanging in a shop front. I gotta go. Here he passed a key over to Anko. See you later, wifey, he grunted jokingly. Chapter 5. Wifey-chan filler chapter. Naruto grumbled loudly. Shino watched his blonde friend. This sucks, watering flowers, helping old ladies catch their dogs. Babysitting, he exclaimed. We're ninja. Hinata sighed. Naruto-kun, last time you said that you were nearly killed by a missing nin, she mumbled. Naruto looked at her. Oh come on, that was a one in a million thing. Naruto argued loudly. People looked at the teenagers. Fine, let's go to the training ground, we can work on your taijutsu, he grumbled. Shino nodded in agreement. Yes, we do need to step up, we were useless in wave, he assessed himself calmly. The three walked into the training ground 10 minutes later. Okay, let's get to work, Naruto exclaimed happily. Naruto charged towards his teammates, both got in their stances as he reached them. Multi-shadow clone, 3 clones appeared by Naruto. Gum Spew Wole clone jumped on Naruto's shoulder, as the two of the clones did the same. Hinata activated her eyes, and started blocking the flurry of fists flying at her. Shino backpedaled, slamming his palms into the blonde's wrist as he did. Kurenai watched from the shadows. She was moving much faster, and was actually attempting to hit Naruto. The blonde showing why he was the top in his class for taijutsu though, and dodged. Shino was also making use of his bugs, and using their shells to help him defend from the strong punches and kicks. But her eyes always went back to the Hyuga heirs. She remembered how when she was first placed on her team she froze around Naruto, becoming completely defenseless. Now she was showing her talent in keeping Naruto at bay. She's getting better. Kurenai turned to the tall dark-haired Hiashi Hyuga. What do you care, you already chose your heir, and we both know it's not Hinata, Kurenai pointed out coldly. He gave a slight smirk. You're spending too much time with that blonde idiot, remember who's your senior, he countered calmly. He turned away from the group of genin. You're going to push Hinata too far, you'll lose her. Not as a clanmate, but as your daughter, Kurenai noted calmly. Hiashi stopped. You'll push her into Naruto, who I'm proud to say makes me want to be better, and made me better, she predicted. And then when Naruto breaks through the barriers you have held Hinata erect, you'll be sorry you let her go. Hiashi continued, casting one last glance through the tree trunk. Naruto had Hinata pinned. Naruto laughed loudly. He was sweating. Shino held the two to their feet. He too was sweating. You guys are getting better. A week ago you would have flopped under my shadow clone combos, he boasted. Hinata blushed at the compliment. She watched Naruto lazily spin his hat on his fingertips. Thank you, Naruto-san, Shino replied. Hey, no problem buddy. The hat continued to spin. They both knew he was using it as a way to practice chakra control. Naruto heard somebody come into the training ground. They looked at their pink-haired ex-classmate. She was twiddling her thumbs in a very Hinata-like manner. She mumbled near unaudibly, Naruto-san, I need your help. Naruto smiled and tapped her forehead. What was that? He taunted. She glared and muttered, I need your help. I can't hear you. Shino shook his head and said, enough, Naruto. Naruto glared at the glasses-wearing boy. Killjoy, he mumbled. His head then snapped up. What do you need help with? He asked. Taijutsu, she replied quietly. Naruto sat down cross-legged. He looked at the skinny pink-haired girl. Hey, Shino, mind telling me about her skill set? Shino looked at her. Pretty average in every area except chakra. Chakra control was by far her best area. She had the best chakra control in our class, but her chakra coils are tiny. At least that's what my bugs say, Shino listed off in monotone. Hinata looked at Sakura. She looked down at her hand and started playing with her fingers. I can help, the Hyuga clan has many chakra increasing exercises, she stuttered. Naruto grabbed her arms. Well, first you need to bulk up a bit, he told her. I mean, you're tiny. She turned and yelled, oh, like you have room to talk. She grabbed his arms, needle-thin arms. My gum causes it, he countered loudly, pulling his arms out of her girl's grip and saying, I'll talk to Wifey-chan when I get home. She'll probably know how to use your chakra control in taijutsu. Wifey? Sakura questioned. Hinata looked down angrily, and Shino shook his head. Naruto-san got drunk and bound himself to Anko Mitarashi, Shino stated. Naruto quickly hollered, like I wanted to get married, especially not to Anko. She's another psychopath, she's throughout all my reign. You shouldn't have gotten drunk, Shino countered. Oh come on, she's the one who convinced me to start, Naruto argued. Conflicting personalities, Hinata whispered to Sakura. Let's start with the basics. And what's that? She asked. Hinata snapped her finger forward and slammed it into her shoulder. Hinata. Sakura gasped loudly. Sorry Sakura-san, she stumbled. Now force open your chakra point. Sakura nodded and began pump chakra in her numb arm. We'll train again tomorrow, Sakura-san, Hinata said. Ugh, explosion. What was that for? Sorry, I lost my cool. Why? You were being an idiot. Hinata shook her head. I have to go and break them up before they hurt each other. Suddenly Naruto slid beside them. Sakura-san, why don't you get your sensei to teach you? Sensei-chan hold Kakashi in extremely high regards. Naruto asked. Sakura winced slightly and mumbled, Kakashi is a truly great ninja, one of the best. She shook her head and added, but I teach her he isn't. What happened? Naruto asked in a very calm and serious voice. Sakura tugged the top of her dark pink shirt up, revealing 4 large jagged scars. What happened? Naruto gasped loudly. During our first C-rank mission, she stopped abruptly and cursed quietly, damn Kiba. Before continuing I froze. Kakashi had allowed himself to get caught, so he could test our combat readiness. I failed, lucky Kiba, and Sasuke didn't or I might be dead. Naruto's eyes blazed, and he hollered, you let you take a stabbing as a test. Naruto don't do anything, Shino started, but Naruto had already run away from the group. Stupid, he finished with a loud sigh. Should we stop him? Hinata questioned to no one in particular. How's the arm? She asked. Shino shook his head. I guess he walked towards the village, and said, but that doesn't mean Naruto doesn't learn anything from this. Sakura followed the two, flexing her fingers, my arm's feeling okay, not normal. Naruto lay on the rooftop watching a man with spiky silver hair, and his leaf headband over one eye walk down the street. He was walking beside Asuma, Kurenai, and Anko. How's your team? Asuma asked Kurenai. But she replied curtly. Hinata needs a confidence boost, but with Naruto, there won't be a problem for long, she added confidently. Depending on the dead last, Kakashi sighed loudly. Kurenai glared at the one-eyed man. Is that why you didn't want to take? She growled. No, it was because he only had to jutsu, the man replied calmly. Really, because Naruto probably has the largest chakra pool of anyone in his class, Kurenai snapped, Anko nodding her head in agreement. Yeah, I would know, I live with the idiot, she added. Naruto sailed off the roof and hollered, hey one-eye. Kakashi looked up as the team dropped and exclaimed, gum gum. Rapid fire stepped back as the rain of fists slammed onto the ground in front of him. He did a backflip as a second clone sent his fist at him from the roof. A third landed directly behind him and swung his leg straight up. Kakashi reacted quickly and grabbed Naruto's leg and forcibly swung him on his heel. Clones, how's that possible from a boy who couldn't even complete the standard clone, Jutsu, Asuma mumbled. Kakashi began backpedaling as 10 more clones made their presence known. Next time don't let your target know you're here, Kakashi said. The Narutos laughed, not my style. He charged the Jonin and hollered, gum gum cannon. Every clone's fist blasted forward. Kakashi grabbed the first hand and popped the first Naruto. He then Spartan kicked the second and punched 2 in the temple. He popped 5 more in quick succession. Kakashi eyed the 3 final Narutos. So why are you trying to fight it? Jonin Kurenai sighed to the one beside her. Give me a second. Naruto ran at the elite ninja and yelled. Charge. Naruto's fist shot at Kakashi. Kakashi kneeled to the side and felt the wind hit his cheek as the fist blurred by his side. He grabbed the wrist and pulled at Naruto. The clone popped as the man kicked him in the chest. The 2 final Narutos speared the man. Kakashi spun around and popped the final clone and threw Naruto down the street. He slid into the dirt and coughed loudly. Ouch, Naruto groaned loudly. He's good, he added. Anko kneeled down and pulled Naruto to his feet. Well, no shit, idiot. Kakashi Haddock is probably the best ninja in this village, besides the Hokage himself, she grumbled. How sweet wifey-chan worries about me, Naruto snapped. Anko shoved him over and threatened, don't call me that. You're my wife, Naruto grumbled. Kakashi looked at the blonde dusting himself off. Impressive to jutsu, but your use of the multi-shadow clone technique could use some work, he stated. This coming from the guy who let his student get stabbed, Naruto growled. You just got your ass kicked and you're up for more. Anko poked fun at her young husband, glaring at the silver-haired man in front of him. What does it matter to you? Kakashi asked. I don't like hearing about my friends being stabbed, Naruto exclaimed and rushed to Kakashi. He made it 2 steps before Anko grabbed the back of his vest. I miss the days when it was Kurenai doing this, Anko sighed loudly. Kurenai laughed at her friend's pouting face. Well, don't get drunk, and I would be the one holding him back, she pointed out. Oh come on, how was I supposed to know how one drunken night with the idiot would turn out? I'm standing right beside you two, Naruto screamed and dropped onto his butt and sat cross-legged. Anko kicked him and told him, stay quiet. Husband abuse, he screamed at the top of his lunges. People in the road stopped and Asuma nearly laughed. Shut up, Anko commanded quietly. He's nuts, he doesn't know what he's talking about, she told the people who had stopped. Hinata, Shino, and Sakura caught up to Naruto. A purple-haired woman was holding him, his mouth was clapped over his mouth. Stay quiet Naruto or I'm going to put you in the hospital when we get home, they heard her threaten quietly. Naruto's eyes went white in terror, and he nodded quickly. Good hubby, she taunted. You're a nutcase, Naruto muttered. Well, I'll be seeing you. Kakashi waved goodbye, and disappeared in a puff of smoke. Naruto glared at the spot, and growled, I'll be stronger than that man, that's a promise. Asuma clapped him on the back, and said, well, I'm impressed, and maybe if you continue working hard you'll be stronger than Kakashi. Naruto turned towards the three, and exclaimed, Wifey-chan, my friend Sakura needs help. Enko mumbled near mute threats before saying so. Can you help? My taijutsu is only usable with my gum ability, he stated. She looked at the pink-haired girl, and laughed. Naruto, you're nuts, look at her, she's tiny. So my Naruto cut in. Yeah, you're not a great example, she countered. She'll be a great ninja, Naruto stated confidently. She just needs someone to help her, and obviously Kakashi won't be any help, Naruto said. Enko looked at the girl, and then grabbed the boy and lifted him off his feet. Alright hubby, I'll give her a chance, but you'll be the one who has to convince Hokage-sama to allow me to train her, she whispered into his ear. Thank you, why? But he was dropped and the woman yelled in his face, stop calling me that. Chapter 6. Konohamaru. A line of Jonin senseis stood in front of the Hokage. You probably all know why we are here, the Chunin exams begin in 1 week. And I would like to know how many Genin team are going to be in the competition. The older teams raised their hands. The room was deathly quiet as the rookie 9 Jonin raised their hands. I Kakashi had to have full confidence in my team ability to take on this exam, Kakashi proclaimed. Explain, the Hokage ordered. I believe Sasuke has leadership and draw skill, Kiba Inzuka's tracking at jutsu talent, and Sakura Haruno's smarts to be at Chunin level, he stated firmly. Can anybody vouch against Team 7's skill? Kurenai's hand shot up. I have been speaking with Jonin Anko Mitarashi Uzumaki, and she does not believe Sakura is ready for this exam, she told the old man. The Hokage puffed his pipe, and remember Naruto's begging for hours for him to allow Anko to train Sakura. He had eventually relented on the caveat that Anko sent daily reports. This of course went in the hands of Naruto. In her last report she had expressed her fears that Sakura was still not skilled enough for Chunin exam. Kakashi, you will receive word in a couple of days. I need to think about it, and talk to Sakura's other Jonin sensei. Kakashi bowed his head, and said, yes Hokage-sama. I Kurenai Yuhi nominate teammate for the Chunin exam, she proclaimed. Explain, the Hokage said simply. With Naruto's leadership, he heard a slight snort from some of the Jonin, and taijutsu talent and confidence he leads them extremely well. She eyed the Jonin who clearly doubted the blonde's talent. With Shino's analytical mind and calmness under pressure, along with his family bugs and jutsu, I believe his support is sufficient to the Chunin. And finally Hinata, her main flaw, her confidence has been getting steadily better, and with her family taijutsu. And by Akugan I believe her to be a Chunin level. I see, and can anybody argue team skill? That Uzumaki boy was dead last. How can you let any team led by him into the exam? One of the Jonin in the room exclaimed loudly. I was shouted loudly. I have seen Naruto Uzumaki in action, and I vouch that he holds the talent of any Chunin, he roared loudly. Same, I saw him fight Kakashi, and he is extremely talented with his bloodline, and a multi-shadow clone jutsu, Asuma added. Teammate will be allowed into the exam. He ended any argument, and handed Kurenai 3 small papers. I nominate Team 10, Asuma proclaimed loudly. Shikamaru is a genius, along with his natural abilities and leadership. I believe he is Chunin level. Ino Yamanaka has her clan jutsu, and her instincts make her Chunin level. Choji Akimichi raw power and talent in his clan jutsu make him Chunin level. 1 day later, Naruto screamed loudly, Anko, what did you do to my clothes? Anko walked into the living room wearing a bright red shirt. Smiling evilly at Naruto, wearing a pink shorts and shirt, he walked towards and hollered, you're the one who wanted us to get along. Dango shoved and yelled in his face, you ruined my Dango. My raiment is stunningly missing from my kitchen. He countered louder. Our kitchen, the two were now face to face, glaring bolts of lightning at each other. Have you found a way to break this marriage? They hollered at each. Naruto Anko sensei Sakura greeted timidly from the door. Come on brat, let's get to work. Anko exclaimed, dragging the pink head away from the apartment. Naruto-san, Kurenai sensei told me to come and get you, Shino greeted. Let's go, Naruto growled. The Hokage Tower, Shino told Naruto. The two boys slid into the building. Naruto greeted with a wave. Hey old man, what's our mission? A young boy was tied up, silently fuming. His long blue scar trailed behind him. He blew raspberry at Naruto and Shino. Naruto, Shino, I would like to introduce you to my grandson Konohamaru. This is your mission. Babysit him for the day, Sir Toby stated, waiting for the inevitable outburst from Naruto. Oh come on old man, give us a decent mission. I don't want to babysit this kid, Naruto whined loudly. Hey Pinky, shut up, Konohamaru snapped. You, Naruto said, silencing the kid with a punch. Konohamaru glared silently at Naruto as he turned towards the Hokage. He grinned devilishly and hollered transform. A tall blonde with perfect curves walked out of the small cloud of smoke. Small wisps of smoke covered her most intimate part. Can we get a real mission, she pouted. Pretty please, she snuck her lower lip. The Hokkage's eyes whitened. Suddenly a jet of blood poured out of his nose. He was blasted back from the force and slammed into the ground. The naked female was replaced by the completely shocked Naruto. The old man is a pervert, Naruto gasped loudly. Never mind grandpa, I want to stay with this kid, Konohamaru said. Yes go, he grunted from behind his desk. The three boys left the Hokage tower, Naruto grumbling, Konohamaru joyful, and Shino indifferent. As they went down the road, Naruto noticed ninja wearing different headbands. Naruto was casting them glances as they walked down the road. Hey, what's with all the nin? He asked Shino. Shino explained quickly, it's the Chunin exams in a week, and the ninja are here to compete, Shino replied. Oh? You didn't know it was the Chunin exam, Konohamaru stated loudly. Naruto grabbed Konohamaru and said, of course I knew it was the Chunin exam. Hey boss, can you teach me that jutsu you used on grandpa? Naruto sighed loudly. Maybe later, kid. Naruto pulled out the leather book and started reading. Konohamaru whined loudly as Naruto continued reading. Shino looked at the leather-bound book with interest. Never thought you would be the type to read, he admitted. Naruto grinned broadly at Shino. This is the only book I ever read. It's about Monkey D. Luffy. The previous Gum Gum user, he uttered quietly. Interesting. Yeah, but where I got my Taijutsu combos from, he stated. Konohamaru ducked down an ally and ran away. The two continued down the street talking. Naruto was telling about how Luffy beat a much stronger opponent in a man named Robluchi. Shino stopped abruptly. Where's Konohamaru? I thought you had him, Naruto muttered. Enough with the book, we need to find him, Shino growled. Split up, Shino commanded with. Naruto and Shino ran in opposite directions. Naruto was flying across the rooftops. Konohamaru. He hollered. Come on, where are you? He cursed under his breath. Hinata and Sakura dodged the kunai the purple-haired woman threw in their direction. Remind again why I let her train me, Sakura muttered as she rolled behind a tree. I won't get stronger, so Naruto-kan won't need to protect me anymore, Hinata replied. Her mind went back to the large scar across Naruto's chest. Suddenly they both felt her presence appear behind them. Hinata instantly rolled away as the kunai slammed into the tree she was sitting behind. Sakura did the exact same thing, and Ko landed on top of Hinata, pinning her onto the ground as she exclaimed. Root captured jutsu. Sakura rolled onto her feet and jumped into the tree, but was too slow. The dirt flew up and instantly stopped her. Then Ko cast a glance between the two. She growled to slow, and you let suddenly a blonde blur flew into the tree line. Hinata-chan, need your help, come on let's go, Naruto snapped, dragging the white-eyed girl behind him. Turn your Byakugan on, Naruto ordered quickly as they ran into the village. Hinata immediately did as she was told. Okay, now look for a boy wearing a gray headdress and yellow t-shirt with a long blue scarf, Naruto told her. Okay, Naruto-kun, she replied quietly. Naruto dragged Hinata back and forth through the village. She was in pure bliss at his hand wrapped around her own. Nothing, Naruto-kun, she stuttered fondly. Shino jogged up to the two. Nothing, he guessed. Nothing, Naruto repeated. Where could he be? Naruto, you little pervert. He heard a loud female voice screech. Naruto turned towards a mob of females all running at him. Get him, he heard the leader scream, pointing an accusing finger at him. Shino and Hinata dove to the side as the mob overtook Naruto. They heard an agonized wail, and Naruto hollering, what did I do? Naruto's straw hat suddenly bounced out of the crowd, beating Naruto into the earth. Hinata gingerly picked up the hat and was about to put it on when the female mob left in a huff. Naruto whimpered. He had a deep purple circle around both his eyes. His lips were huge. What did I do? He repeated loudly. The three continued down the road. Naruto was spreading an ointment on his small cuts, and deep purple bruises on Naruto, healing him almost instantly. Naruto, you little idiot. Oh no, Naruto gasped loudly. Naruto whipped around. Another mob of people ran at him, all painted bright reds, oranges, and blues. It wasn't me, Naruto exclaimed. The mob once again left Naruto beat up, and just like the time previous, Hinata started lathering the cream onto Naruto. Shino sighed loudly and said, how are we supposed to catch Konohamaru when you're getting beat up constantly? Konohamaru laughed loudly at the genin. The three looked straight at the young boy. He replaced the gray headdress with a yellow, much newer straw hat. See boss, I'm just as good as you, exclaimed. You? Naruto says, point accusingly at Konohamaru. Yes, it was me. Konohamaru roared proudly, putting his hands on his hip. Naruto looked at him darkly. He tore the straw hat out of Hinata's grip. You're the reason I got beat up, he snapped quietly. Yep, Konohamaru replied with pride seeping into his voice. What exactly did you do? Naruto asked, taking a very calm Kurenai-like voice. Oh, I put itching powder into women's bathhouse, and pain-bombed people, the usual, Konohamaru explained. Naruto suddenly jumped at him, and hollered, you're dead meat. Konohamaru whipped around, and ran face first into a tall man wearing an all-black suit with a mummy strapped to back. Naruto slid to a stop when the purple makeup-wearing man lifted Naruto off the ground with one arm. let him go. He turned and laughed at Naruto, saying, "No, I'm going to teach this kid some respect." Konohamaru kicked wildly at man, screaming, "You better let me go now or the boss will kick your ass." The man swung his fist back when a monotone voice yelled, "Put the kid down, Kankuro." A redhead walked from around the opposite corner. He wore a black suit, with a red sash, and a large gourd was on his back. Standing next to him was a blonde wearing a light purple battle dress, she a thick black object on her back. All three had sand headbands on. "Sure thing, guard," the man stuttered, dropping Konohamaru. He ran straight behind Naruto. "Thanks," Naruto said to Gar. "See you around." The four turned and walked away. Naruto added, "My name is Naruto Uzumaki. Gar of the Sand, and these are my siblings Temari and Kankuro." "So that's the rubber boy." Unimpressed, Naruto left the three, unaware of the final thing the female said about it. Naruto and Shino walked into the Hokage Tower as the sun fell. Konohamaru was on Naruto's back. The two teens looked exhausted as they walked into the old man's office. Both mumbled about the psycho little kid. Kurenai and Hinata were sitting. Naruto dropped Konohamaru onto the couch on the back wall of the office. "Never again," Shino shuddered. "As you no doubt know, it's time for the Chunin exam, and your sensei believes your skills that of a Chunin." Shino and Naruto stumbled towards the desk. Hinata followed suit. The Hokage pushed 3 slips of paper. "These waivers are proof that you by your own free will join the danger of these exams," he explained to the three. Naruto was the first to sign, followed by Shino. Hinata looked at them and gulped. She shakily signed the waiver. "Get some rest. The exams start in 3 days." Kurenai told them. Chapter 7. Teia's story. Naruto woke up on his couch. Anko was sitting in the kitchen drinking a cup of coffee. Naruto pulled his t-shirt and shorts on, throwing his frog nightcap off as he walked into the kitchen. Anko was wearing the straw hat on her head. Naruto sat down across from her. "Do me a favor," she yawned. "Anything, wifey-chan," Naruto grunted as he dug into the fridge. He sent his arm across the room and tore the hat off Anko's head. "Don't get yourself killed," she said seriously. Naruto smiled at her and replied confidently, "I won't get killed. The greatest Hokage can't get killed." She dug underneath the table and pulled a bundle. Naruto watched her. He took a swig of milk and poured cereal into his mouth. "Here, I figured you needed something that didn't scream kill me," she stated. Naruto pulled the bundle to him. He unwrapped the blue vest. The red swirl on his back was smaller and a darker wine red. Two thin orange line ran down his back. Naruto couldn't help but dive over the table and pull Anko into a bone-crushing hug. "Thank you," he muttered. "I'll see you later, wifey-chan." He turned and left the apartment, pulling the vest over his blue t-shirt. Kurenai sat on the rooftop watching her students. Naruto had his grin and was dragging Shino down the road. "Cut it out," Shino snapped. "I just want to get this test done with," Naruto exclaimed. Hinata stammered. "I like your new vest," she complimented. "He thanks Hinata-chan," he said, tugging at the vest. "Wifey-chan got it for me," he added happily. Oh, Hinata stuttered and quickened her steps and shook her head as she went. "So have you decided then?" Shino asked. "Decided what?" Naruto asked. "Your other wives," he replied calmly. Naruto stopped and grabbed Shino by the throat. "How did you know about that?" he exclaimed. Bugs flew out of Shino's sweater and climbed up Naruto's arms. Shino glared from behind his glasses. "Release me, Naruto." Naruto immediately let go, and the bugs instinctively flew back to Shino. Every clan in Konoha knows of the Bloodline Protection Act. "I'm not doing it," Naruto stated firmly. Naruto stormed off towards the academy. Hinata looked around the crowded hall. She noticed several of her classmates in the empty hall. "Hey Hinata, where's Naruto-san and Shino-san?" Sakura greeted. Hinata smiled faintly at the pink-haired girl. "I went ahead of them." Hinata noticed a fear-looking teen looking directly at her. He had red markings going down either cheek and wore a worn-out gray jacket. "Kiba-kun," she greeted. Next Kiba stood a handsome dark-haired boy wearing a dark blue t-shirt and white shorts. On his back was a red and white fan. "Sasuke-san," she added. Sasuke grunted and Kiba smiled. "Hinata-chan," he greeted excitedly. "Bushibrao Jr.-san." My eternal rival Naruto-kun. Every genin turned their head towards the racket. Naruto Lee were attempting to crush each other, but not having much successes. "Oh hey Imo-san," dog breath Naruto greeted loudly. Idiot, Sasuke mumbled as the green-clad warrior and blue-clad rubber boy ran to their sides. "Sakura-chan." "Quite Naruto-kun," Sakura said. "So you're the Konoha rubber boy?" A deathly calm voice stated from behind them. 3 people clad in pitch-black robes adorned with a sound symbol were standing in front of them. "Yep," Naruto replied. "Where did you get that hat?" came a feminine voice from one of the sound in. "What does it matter?" her partner snapped. "It doesn't," the feminine voice countered angrily. The 3 turned their back and said in unison, "We'll be seeing you then, rubber boy." The Konoha nin minus Lee shivered. The 3 sound nin left the hall. Naruto moved quickly and grabbed Sakura's mouth. "Hinata, turn your eyes on," he ordered, as he grabbed Lee's mouth. The veins expanded out of the side of Hinata's face. She gasped, and Naruto dragged the 2 loud mouths into the hall. Hinata chased after Naruto. Shino, Sasuke, and Kiba chased after them. "What's matter with you?" Sakura snapped. "We're on the wrong floor, let's go," Naruto stated. I knew something was wrong. A Jinjutsu right, Hinata-chan, Naruto stuttered. Yes, Naruto-kan, Hinata mumbled. How did you know? Sakura exclaimed. I picked up a Jinjutsu sensing skill from Sensei-chan. The group of Leaf Nin walked up the stairs. They walked into the classroom, causing a large, strongly built man in a long black cloak eyebrow to raise. The thick scars on his face moved slightly. Anko's husband, he thought as the blonde sat down beside Hinata. Shino was behind the two. Naruto yawned loudly as the room became more and more filled. He could feel the eyes of the sound nin on the back of his neck. Suddenly a second set of sound ninjas shoved him soundly. So are you the rubber boy straw hat, the sound boy said. Naruto noticed a metal ring on the bottom of either hand. Yep, Naruto greeted eagerly, putting his hand out. Pathetic, the boy stated. Naruto's eyebrow twitched, and he jumped up, yelling loudly, what was that? Sasuke eyed the group, analyzing the dead last's reaction. The Kemu guard boy laughed, and taunted pathetic. Four things happened at once. Naruto lunged towards with speed that shocked all his classmates. Lee moved even faster and got in between Naruto and Sound Nin. Shino grabbed Naruto's shoulder, and a leaf ninja wearing all purple and glasses shoved the Sound Nin away from Naruto. Calm down, the ninja in purple commanded. Suddenly the Sound Ninja's teammate rocketed forward. The man snapped his head back. The heavily bandaged Sound Nin smirked and swung his large metal gauntlet. Never touch a Sound Nin, he ordered coldly. The purple-wearing man held his ear, blood spilling out. The man's hands turned deep green, and after 3 seconds the blood stopped. Damn, that stings, he cursed under his breath, before turning and greeting friendly. Hello, I'm Kabuto Yakushi. Both Lee and Shino released Naruto, and allowed Naruto to shake the hand of his fellow Leaf Nin. I'm Naruto. The man smiled, and pulled out a big deck of cards. Naruto Uzumaki, dead last in everything except Taijutsu. Loud, obnoxious, and uses an unorthodox brawler fighting style. Completed the minimum requirements for the exam he listed off. Sasuke jumped and asked, do you have a card for all of us here? Kabuto smiled, yes, you know the old saying, knowledge is power. Can I see the card for Rock Lee, Naruto, and Gaara of the Sand? Hey Lee, why does he want information on you? Naruto asked as he sat back down. I was testing my skills against the true Guineas, Lee roared loudly. So you beat him, Naruto laughed loudly. Sasuke read the 3 cards. He cast a glance up at the two laughing side by side, getting death glances by friends and foes. Idiots, he mumbled darkly. Quite. The Jonin roared, as 2 Chunin started placing a test on all their desks. Okay, here's how the first part of this task. You will have 1 hour to complete the test. If you're caught cheating, you and your teammates all fail. If you leave before the test is complete, your teammates fail. And finally, if you do not complete the test in time, then you and your teammates will all be banished from taking the test ever again. Now begin. Naruto's eyes dropped, and he instantly became desperate. I don't know a single answer, he thought frantically. Shino and Hinata had already began making their way through the task at hand. Sasuke had his eyes, which were now blood red with a sing comma in them, locked on Sakura's frantically moving pencil, his hand copying perfectly. Naruto whipped his head around. The crazy Sand Nin had one eye closed, as 3 teams dropped out. His classmate Shikamaru was already loafing off, as his best friend Choji leisurely ate and wrote. Ino seemed to be asleep in her desk, but was really using a clan jutsu to cheat off Sakura. Shino was glaring at Naruto. Come on, Naruto, do something. Don't fail, he thought at his desperate teammate. Naruto watched the clock. The minutes seemed to pass faster than any time before that. Sweat poured down his brow as it reached the halfway point. Many of the genin had already been cut from the group. Ibiki watched the blonde with interest. Even drunk, there has to some reasoning to Anko decision, he thought, as Naruto was now bashing his head weakly against the desk. Or this boy is just an idiot who got extremely lucky in waves. Naruto looked up at the clock. He had 5 minutes left. Ibiki got up and yelled. If any of you do not have finished yet, now would be the time, and if you're unable to finish, you should leave. Ibiki watched the final 5 minutes tick by, before standing as the time limit reached. Anybody who has yet to complete the test, this is your last chance to leave, or be banished from taking the exam. He roared. Instantly 3 teams left. Ibiki purposely locked eyes with Naruto, who remained seated. He gave a second, and you're all complete. 2 more groups stood up, but Naruto jumped. Yes, we're all done these stupid exams. Now just get on with it. Ibiki watched the 6 ninjas sit back. After 2 minutes of silence, he cracked a small smile, and exclaimed, you all pass. Naruto heaved a sigh of relief. Suddenly a black ball slammed into the group. The front of the class became darkened in smoke. Damn it, Anko, the tall man cursed loudly. The smoke cleared to Anko standing in front of a large banner proclaiming Anko Mitarashi, the Proctor Chunin exam. Hey, why isn't Uzumaki at the end of your name, wifey-chan? Naruto hollered loudly. Stop calling me that, Anko exclaimed. You are, he countered. Enough, Anko, Ibiki snapped. Right, meet me at training ground 44, she stated before poofing out of the room. The genin followed after her, leaving just Ibiki in the classroom. He gingerly picked up Naruto's test, confirming his suspicion. He let out a low rumbling laugh and stated aloud, I just passed a boy who couldn't answer a single question. The large group of genin looked at the large barbed wire fence surrounding a large thick forest. Gnarled trees grew at strange angles. Naruto made out the shape of gates. Okay, there are 44 gates. Each genin team will start at each of the gates. She then pulled out a thick red scroll and an equally large gold scroll. Each team will be randomly given a scroll, either the Heaven Scroll or the Earth Scroll, she explained. The object of this part of the exam is to attack a team and retrieve the scroll you do not have, and then get to the tower in the very center of the forest. She walked from group to group, handing out random beware while you're in the forest. There's more than just the other teams you have to contend with. There are many wild and very dangerous in there, with poisons that can kill seconds. Go to your gate and listen for the signal to begin. She handed Naruto a deep red scroll and kneeled in and whispered, "Don't die, idiot." "Don't worry, wifey-chan," he replied calmly. "I have Shino and Hinata will be in that tower in record time," he replied confidently, dragging his teammates to an unclaimed gate. She raised her hand and a small spark flew into the air before exploding loudly. Every ninja immediately disappeared into the forest. She cast one glance at the gate that teammate disappeared into. Teammate moved silently from tree to tree. Shino talked first. "We should set up a trap. We'll bait Hinata with a false injury and our scroll, then strike fast." "Yeah, that could," Naruto began, but a high-pitched flute tune echoed through the forest. Naruto felt like his legs misstep, and he started dropping down into the forest floor. "Naruto!" Shino exclaimed, and dove off the branch. Hinata and Shino landed smoothly on the ground, just after Naruto crashed face first into the dirt. Naruto got to his feet, but was clearly swaying. "What's the matter, Naruto-kun?" Hinata asked. Suddenly a thick white web flew from the top of the tree, snaring Naruto. Both Hinata and Shino jumped at Naruto when the webbing suddenly went rigid, and the boy flew up. Midway up the tree, a second man sailed out of the shadows yelling multiple fist barrage. Two fists seemed to sprout out of the man's as punched Naruto in the face. The force of the punch sent Naruto flipping into the earth with a loud crunch. "Naruto!" Both his teammates exclaimed and ran at the unmoving rubber boy. "Keep away from him or we finish what we started," the man who punched Naruto ordered. Two more figures came into the faint light. The one who had punched Naruto wore a tan suit with a red beaded necklace. A second head shape was on his back. The female of the group was a red hat with brown eyes. A flute was at her side. She wore the same tan suit and a bandage height. The third and final ninja had 6 arms, and wore the same tan suit of the other two. "Teiaya, Kitamura, go and grab him," the two-headed man snapped quickly. Naruto's eye opened quickly, and he pushed himself off the ground. The 3 Soundin watched with interest as he slid his straw hat back onto his head. A deep black shadow was cast over the top of Naruto's face, leaving only the large grin. This had an effect on the red head. She grabbed her temple in pain. "Teiaya, what's your problem?" the 6-armed man growled. "Nothing," she replied sorely. "Then let's get him," the two-headed boy exclaimed. The two teens rushed at Naruto, but Teiaya froze as she looked at Naruto's shadowed face. "Protect him, love him," a long repressed voice echoed loudly through her mind. "Teiaya," she heard faintly. "Gum gum, sickle," he exclaimed. The 2 Soundin jumped over the whip of a foot. Gum gum, double cannonball. Both mid-air Soundin whipped their heads around. 2 clones were curled in balls, each had an arm of 3rd clone. The middle clone threw Naruto balls. They rocketed into the Soundin's stomach. The Sound Ninja instinctively used a replacement jutsu. They reappeared by Teiaya. "What the hell, Teiaya?" She was looking at the rubber boy, completely tuning out everything but Naruto. "Get out of my head," Teiaya screamed the echoing voice. Before rushing straight at Naruto, "I'm going to kill you." She dizzily swung wild haymakers at Naruto. The blonde dodged her wild haymakers. Naruto looked at her half-crazed eyes. "What's your problem, Teiaya?" Seiken attempted. But Teiaya couldn't hear anything over the voices of Orochimaru and her first mentor screaming in her mind. Hinata and Shino chased after the two, disappearing into the woods. Seiken and Kitamura followed. "What do we do?" Kitamura growled. "Kill them," Seiken replied. Seiken went through a series of hand signs and yelled, "Earth-style Earth Destroyer." The 2 members of Teammate froze up. Both whipped their heads around. The earth was exploding, moving fast towards Teiaya and Naruto. Naruto watched the extremely pained expression beyond the girl's face. He heard loud explosion rocketing towards him. Naruto wrapped Naruto's hands around Teiaya and jumped on his back. The earth crumbled underneath Naruto, and the two fell into a large chasm. "Naruto!" Hinata screamed as the chasm fell onto itself. Shino picked Hinata the 2 and ran into the forest. "At least we killed the rubber boy," Seiken muttered to destroyed earth. The 2 slammed into the bottom of the chasm. Naruto gasped in pain. He could see the earth fall onto them. "Multi-shadow clone jutsu," he exclaimed. The earth stopped as 100 clones appeared with their arms in the air. Teiaya was punching Naruto weakly in the chest, crying loudly. "Get out of my mind," she cried. Naruto groaned loudly. "Are you okay?" he asked tiredly. She cried weakly, hugging Naruto tightly. "I'm sorry, so sorry, sorry," she mumbled. Naruto closed his eyes and felt darkness overtaking. Teiaya continued to cry into Naruto's chest. "Kill him, Teiaya," she heard her snake master hiss silently in her mind. "Protect him like you promised," she heard a female voice. Flashback. The much younger Teiaya was sitting cross-legged as her teacher was speaking. She yawned loudly as the elderly lady continued. The bell rang loudly, and Taiya was about to run out when she felt the wrinkled hand grab her shoulder. Taiya-chan, stay please. Okay, Taiya grumbled quietly. Have I ever told you the story of Captain Monkey D. Luffy? The elderly woman asked. Taiya shook her head. He was once a great man, courageous, rash, bold, an idiot. I loved him. You were in love, Nami-san? Taiya gasped at her icy teacher. Yes, I loved him a lot. But as much as I loved him, I thought his dream would always be front and center in his mind, Nami explained. So I iced myself, pushed him away. She shook her head. But that's not why I wanted you here. I want to show you this. She pulled a small deep silver flute. Remember those stories of the claim attacked? Yeah, it was your old weapon, right? Nami dug slowly through her desk and pulled out a small blue flute. This is the Klima flute. She rolled it to the weight hands of Taiya. Unlike my old weapon, this is based solely off the ear chakra. Really? Taiya yelled. Grab the flute. Taiya, don't. Nami exclaimed, as the girl let out a shrill chakra-enhanced shriek. Suddenly a bolt of dark blue lighting flew round the two, electrocuting the two. Nami got up shakily. Don't use chakra until you can play the flute. She hollered. 2 months later. Nami sat watching Taiya play a fast-paced tune. Flames, water, and electricity danced around her as she slowly went through the notes. Think a faster-paced version of Zelda's lullaby. The song came to an end with all the elements flying straight up over her head and exploded in a display of multicolored sparks. Nami clapped loudly. That was perfect, Taiya. Keep going, and you'll be perfect with your flute by the time you leave the academy, she praised. Taiya went bright red and smiled faintly. Thank you, Nami-sensei, she bowed. Can I hear more stories of your time as a Straw Hat? Sure, she replied and started the story of being freed from Arlong's grip. Taiya listened with rapt attention. She noticed her teacher's eyes go foggy as she reached the ending of the story. Nami shook her head, pulled Taiya towards the path. Let's go, I'll take you home. As they walked up the hill, the nearly Pute, their entire home village was ablaze. Mom, Dad. Taiya screamed and ran towards the village. Nami chased after her, but the younger ninja in training was faster than the old lady. Taiya looked at the academy. She caught a glimpse of some of her classmates being killed. Tears streamed down her face. But she continued down her path. She could see many people lying dead in the streets. She reached her home, and like the rest of the village, it was on fire. Mom. She screamed as the building collapsed. Dad. She cried, falling onto her knees. What do we have here? Taiya didn't even look as the group of rockmen walked towards her. One raised his sword, but before he could bring the killing blow down on her head, a large pillar of electricity seared through the man's chest. Leave her. Nami screamed loudly. Taiya turned her head numbly as her teacher killed 4 rockmen in quick succession. Before she started showing signs of her weakening, slowly the younger, faster ninja began to capitalize on Nami's mistakes and opening. She got stabbed 4 times. Taiya stood up as the ninjas once again raised their swords to finish the old lady. I'm going to kill you. Taiya screamed and pulled the flute her lips. The ninja stopped and looked at the young girl as she began her song. It was a deep sorrow-filled melody, paralyzing the rock ninja. Flames burned through 5, wind sliced the hearts of 5, and lightning seared through the rest. The song ended with a loop of wind and lightning. Taiya blew the last note, sending out the large shockwave of wind and lightning. Kill anybody on the block. Taiya fell onto her hands and knees. Taiya, she heard a faint whisper. Taiya looked at the heavily injured woman. She was smiling fondly at the redhead. Promise me something, she coughed, as my final wish. Anything, Nami-sensei. Taiya hugged the woman tightly. Find Luffy's successor, be what I couldn't be to Luffy, love him, protect him, Nami gasped. How do I find him? Taiya cried out. The Straw Hat and personality, Nami coughed. Taiya watched the woman fade in her arms. Tears poured down her face. Present day. Taiya had a knife in her left hand. Tears dripped off her cheeks as she remembered the repressed memory of her teacher. Naruto had his eye half opened and watched her drop the knife with a loud clang. Thank you, he muttered. Taiya pulled him into her. Does the name Luffy mean anything to you? She asked, looking at the sapphire eyes for any sign of deception. To her amazement, Naruto laughed and said, yeah, he's the one who gave me my gum-gum. And Straw Hat. Before he could react, Taiya planted her lips firmly on his. She forced a deep kiss on Naruto. Naruto's face went brighter and brighter as she continued pressing into him. He pulled away and coughed out. Taiya-san. Chan, she corrected. We need to find a way back. Surface, he continued as if he was uninterrupted. Taiya smiled and gave him a peck. That's easy. She went straight through hand signs and exclaimed, Earth-style reversed headhunter jutsu. Suddenly the earth parted, and the two rocketed to the surface. Naruto and Taiya stumbled out of the earth. Taiya fell onto her knees and gasped. I'm sorry, Naruto-kun, she gasped. Out of chakra, Taiya-chan, he guessed. She nodded her head. Naruto grinned and picked her up bridal style. We have to go, she smiled devilishly and put her head against Naruto's chest. She could hear his heart racing inside his chest. Chapter 8. Chunin exam PT2. Taiya was smiling like the Cheshire Cat is her, and Naruto flew through the trees. She didn't know where he was getting this energy from, but was glad she could spend as much time in his arms as possible. Naruto whipped his head around. He had to find Shino and Hinata. But in this maze, what were the odds? Shino was leading Hinata in a large circle. He knew odds that Naruto died. But he wasn't giving up just yet. Hinata was silently grieving beside him, and he knew she would be all but useless in her state of mind if they got in a fight. Shino he froze and looked down. At the bottom of the tree in a large hollow opening Sakura had her teammates. Both were clearly injured. Sasuke seemed slightly better than Kiba. But even Sasuke was clearly in a lot of pain, sweat poured down his brow. Kiba was cut up, and Sakura clearly did a moderate job closing the wound. Both fell to ground. Sakura slammed her fist into the ground, bring up a large thick wooden plank, and took a defensive position beside the now closed tree. What does Naruto call Anko-sensei? She screamed at the two, pulling a kunai with an explosive tag on it. Sakura calmed down. Answer the damn question, Shino, Sakura growled. Wifey-chan, Shino replied smoothly. What happened to Naruto's chest and wave? She questioned. He was slashed across the chest. What does he call your sensei? Sensei-chan. Sakura breathed a loud sigh of relief. She dropped the thick barrier. Where's Naruto? She asked. Hinata nearly burst into tears. Shino rubbed her shoulder soothingly and answered, we got attacked. They used a jutsu to trap Naruto underground, if not outright kill him. Hinata sobbed lowly beside him. Sakura looked shocked before rubbing her temple. She looked at the rapidly fading sunlight. We need to prepare for the night. Shino nodded his head in agreement. We should just huddle together. Night is when we'll be in more danger, especially if we announce our presence to the world with a bright fire, Shino stated. Yes, survival rule number 1, never let your enemy know where you are, Sakura stuttered. The three ninjas began working silently. Shino sent a stream of bugs into the notch sticking out. Sakura and Hinata moved silently, pulling out small sleeping bags from their respective bags. Rain began to fall. The girls ran into the much larger notch. Sakura and Shino gingerly moved the unconscious boys to the back wall. As Hinata raised the wooden plank, the three sat on the wall and pulled the blankets into their chest. Naruto slowed to a stop, his chest rising and falling. He heard the faint snoring from the girl on his back. He looked at a small indent in the tree. Naruto put Taiya down. He wrapped his blanket around her chest and swung his legs down. Enko sailed through the trees, hate coursed through veins. She felt the mark on her shoulder burning slightly. Where were you? She growled to herself. Enko stopped and whipped her head around. A tall man was standing 15 feet away from her. Hello, Enko-chan, he greeted in his hissing voice. Why are you here? She exclaimed. I'm here to see two potential candidates, the last of a very powerful jutsu family, and one you know extremely well, the man stated, his pale white skin finally fully coming out of the half-destroyed skin that clung to his body. Naruto, she whispered quickly. Stay away from him, Anko commanded. Why, Anko-chan, from what I gathered, your marriage to the rubber brat is nothing more than a farce. Fate force you two together, and I'll tear you apart, he said calmly. You won't get anywhere near him, Anko screamed, and lunged at the snake man. The white man jumped off the branch he was on as the women reached him. She glared at him as he sailed over him. The snake swung his legs and propelled himself away from Anko and into the forest. Taiya's eyes cracked open. She looked at the blonde sitting on the branch. She suddenly jumped at the feeling of her curse mark. He's here, she mumbled. First Anko, now you both looked into the trees. Orochimaru, Taiya gasped, holding the dark mark on her neck. Sound-chan, what's wrong? Naruto asked as the snake man moved silently towards him. Naruto-kun, run, he's one of the Sannin. She screamed as the mark started glowing, burning painfully through her body. Orochimaru laughed coldly, and before the rubber boy could blink, Orochimaru was in front of him. Let's see if you're worth my time, he hissed, holding Naruto in the air by his throat. Let him down. Anko screamed as she saw what was happening. Anko-chan, the purple-haired woman, fell onto her knees, clawing at the glowing mark on her right shoulder. You don't deserve to call her that, Naruto exclaimed. Gum rapid fire, he bellowed. Orochimaru growled in pain as the flurry of fists sent him across the short gap and into the trees. Naruto, go now, Anko ordered. I can't leave you two, he countered, picking up the red head. He jumped off the tree, and immediately Anko screamed, look out. Naruto roared in pain. Orochimaru had flew out of the trees and speared Naruto's lower back with enough force that it would have shattered a normal person's spine. The two girls cried as the teen flew down the 3-story tall tree and smashed face first into the earth with enough force that only his limp feet remained. Naruto. They both attempted to fight off the pain of their respective marks, much to the amusement of the missing nin. Amazing how he was able to seduce two of my favorite experiments, the man hissed, licking the paralyzed Taiya in the air. He felt her shiver underneath his touch. Anko yelled fruitlessly as the man made his towards her. Naruto-kun, wake up. Naruto heard a melodic voice yell urgently, and Naruto could feel icy water around him but didn't care. I would lose you just after breaking the Jinjutsu, he heard the female vow strongly. Get up, Naruto, your mates need you. Naruto groaned loudly and pushed up. Naruto opened his eyes and nearly fell back down. The girl that looked older than him was standing behind the cage. She had 3 thin tails that wrapped tightly around her body, hugging her curves tightly. A light blush spread down her body as Naruto eyed her transfixed. Her long bright redder went down to rear. And finally he looked into her feral red eyes. Wow, you're beautiful, Naruto mumbled incoherently. Her skin became a shade darker. "Thank you, Naruto-kun," she replied. "Who are you?" "Oh, Hancock the 23rd. They heard a loud explosion echo through the seal. "Naruto-kun, we have no time. You need to go save your mates." Suddenly the water turned blood red and began climbing up his body, but unlike last time there was hardly any pain. "What's happening?" He hollered and attempted to jump, but his feet stayed rooted in spot. "You'll have one tail of chakra, and I'll be doing everything I can to keep the chakra from overtaking you," she told him as he faded away from the seal. Naruto's eyes popped open. They were blood red. He looked down at the red chakra cloak around his body. "Naruto now," he heard Hancock yell. Naruto let out a loud guttural roar that shook the entire feet-foot radius. Orochimaru turned and looked at the blood-red chakra. "Here we go." As soon as he finished the statement, Naruto rocketed at him. Suddenly 50 clones appeared around the tree. Orochimaru began backpedaling as the clones all threw wild haymakers at him. Orochimaru did a backflip as a clone attempted to spear him. He popped the clone mid-flip. Orochimaru parried a fist and grabbed the boy's wrist, and popped 5 clones with the clone's body. Naruto flew through the trees. He had Anko in his arms. Beside him was a clone carrying Taiya. Both females were whimpering weakly. Naruto looked at Anko. She was clinging to his chest for dear life. She didn't look anything like the Anko he knew. She was weak and defenseless. She looked up the fearful eyes of Naruto. She grinned weakly before pushing her face into his chest. "Is this why I married her? Did I see something in her rough exterior? What does she need from me, and do I need her? Is it really us against the world?" he thought happily. "Anko, where do I take you?" he asked quietly. "The tower in the center of the forest," she murmured weakly. "I need you to take Taiya-chan with you." "Chan, did you find yourself another wife in here?" Anko joked pathetically. "Wifey-chan, please," Naruto begged. "Okay, I'll watch her," she agreed tiredly. "And I can even talk to her about being your second wife," she added half-jokingly. "You do that," Naruto muttered. The rest of the trip to the tower was made in relative silence. Every couple of minutes either Anko or Taiya would let out a louder whimper than normal, but would quickly silence themselves. Naruto moved to the tower quickly. "Can you stand?" he asked Akinoichi. "Of course, we're not useless," Anko snapped. "Idiot," she added, pulling herself out of Naruto's grip. "Love you too, wifey-chan," Naruto said cheekily. "How about you, Sound-chan?" "I could stay in your arms all day," she squealed happily. "You know you disgust me," Anko stated. "Shut the hell up, and leave me with my Naruto-kun," Taiya cursed loudly. Anko stepped back at the redhead's sudden change. She could hear the girl grumbling death threats and swear words under her breath. "I like her, Naruto." She pulled the redhead out of the clone's arm and gave her a noogie. "You know how to pick her." "What's up with her? Does she have split personality or something?" Anko exclaimed as she pulled the redhead into the tower. "Naruto-kun, wait." Taiya pulled something from her pouch and threw it in Naruto's waiting hand. "The other scroll." "Yeah, I want you out of the forest as soon as possible," she commented protectively. "Okay, I'll go get Shino and Hinata and be right back, Sound-chan," he exclaimed and ran into the forest. He looked down at the gold scroll one last time before putting it in his pocket and jumping into the trees. Hinata and Sakura listened to the sound of 3 sound genin walking around the tree. The leader punched the tree with his larger arm. "We know you're here, give us a chiha and we'll be on our way." Shino was listening to the chatter his bugs were making. "Get away from the plank," Shino commanded as they heard the second boy scream, destructive airwave. They all felt the shockwave blast through the wooden plank before being forced straight into the air. "Who are you?" they heard the sound genin asked. The Konoha rubber boy Hinata felt joy go through her system at the familiar voice. "Gum Gum Cannon." Shino, Hinata and Sakura stuck their head out of the hole, just time to catch a glimpse of the spiky-haired sound nin get blasted by a powerful punch. "That's for calling me pathetic," Naruto taunted. The 2 genin glared at the rubber boy. The deep red chakra tail flicked back and forth dangerously. Naruto-kun, Hinata stumbled out of the tree. Hinata stayed back. Naruto snapped his sound nin and got into offensive position. Troublesome Shikamaru strolled out of the tree line, followed by Choji. "Need some help, Naruto," he guessed, yawning as he got into his stance. "You know, get out here," Shikamaru muttered. "Oh, come on, Shikamaru, you know I was just playing the platinum blonde set," as she came out of the trees. Troublesome blonde. The sound nin glared at Naruto, all having one thought: if he was strong enough to beat the sound 3, then we don't stand a chance. The one with the larger arm cast one last glance into the tree trunk before yelling, "We're leaving." Naruto grinned to Team 10. "Thanks, I probably didn't need your help, boo." They all whipped around the ominous chakra. Shino pulled Sakura and Hinata out of the tree trunk. Sasuke stood up. A deep purple chakra flowed wildly around his body. Black marks stretched across his face and arms. He looked directly at Naruto. His eyes changed from their normal black to blood red with 2 black cones. "The dead last," he growled lowly. Sasuke suddenly disappeared from view. Naruto spun around and caught Sasuke's right hook. The 2 suddenly went rigid, and their arms were forced above their heads. "Calm down," Shikamaru commanded calmly, holding the 2 by their shadow. Sasuke took 3 deep breaths. The purple chakra receded into his body, and the black marks shrunk into his shoulder. "We'll fight one day," Sasuke grunted. The last Uchiha had never gotten over Naruto being named top taijutsu in their class. Naruto smiled at the dark-haired teen and said, I look forward to it. The shadow shrunk away from Naruto. Let's go. I got the second scroll, Hinata and Shino, and nodded. The Genin jumped into the trees and disappeared from view. The three looked at the large tower. Shino and Hinata watched the red chakra recede into Naruto. Next part of the exam, Naruto stated. You ready? He asked his teammates. Ready, Shino replied simply. Ready, Hinata mumbled. Chapter 9. Death of Naruto. Naruto walked down the sewer. He could hear the dripping. He eyed the red head sitting behind the cage. She was utterly beautiful, and if she looked anything like the original Boa Hancock, he could see why Luffy had hard time describing her in his journal. Hello, Strawag-kun, she greeted without opening her eyes. Naruto walked out of the dark tunnel and sat in front of her. The dark blue chakra water moved away from him. How did you end up in here, Boa-chan? He asked. I was sealed by the yellow flash of Konoha, she replied, her eyes on the blonde. She licked her lips hungrily. Naruto felt a shiver go down his spine as she eyed him lustfully. I meant, how did you end up being the fox? He countered shyly. I, along with 9 others, were used as a sacrifice by the man called the Sage of Six Paths, she stated. What? I was betrayed by my people. My kind became too conceited. We believed ourselves better than the rest. So while I prospered, my people did not. They came to resent me, despise me, and allowed the sage bind a large portion of the 10-tailed demon's chakra into myself. It changed me. I lost my raven hair and snakes. It destroyed my beauty. Naruto butted in abruptly. But you're extremely beautiful now. She went slightly red at the compliment and continued, thank you, but it took me hundreds of years to gain full control over the dark chakra that is now part of me. Suddenly tears started pouring down her face. I couldn't control myself, but I remembered all the lives I stole, all the homes I destroyed. Hell, I destroyed the village my predecessor worked so hard to build. I killed every single person in it, she cried. Make it up. You have all this power, use it to do the right thing, Naruto stated confidently. I'm sealed inside of you until we die, she replied sadly. Can't we just change the seal? Naruto asked. Hancock's face lit up and squealed, of course, after these exams we'll change the seal, so that I can be summoned out, she giggled. Naruto stood up and grinned broadly at her. Suddenly one of her long tails flew out of the cage and pulled Naruto's face into it. This is for being Luffy's successor, she brought her lips down on his, and gave him the quick peck. And this is for being Naruto Uzumaki. She once again forced his face into the cage, and pulled him into a long deep kiss. After 30 seconds of Hancock pulled her face away and said, one of your mates is climbing into your sleeping bag. Naruto's eyes popped open to the grinning face of Taiya. She was lying on top of him, looking directly into his eyes. Asan-chan, what are you doing? He questioned as she slid down a bit. Sleeping, she replied tiredly. Why on me? He muttered. You're more comfy than any bed or cot, she said as she laid her head over his heart. She smiled as she heard his heart begin beat faster in his chest. Naruto groaned quietly when she slid suggestively. Good night, Straw Hat Naruto, she half-jokingly called him. Naruto looked at the redhead who had snaked her arms under his body. So much for not doing the BLPA, he mumbled. Naruto eyed the group of ninja gathering the main room of the tower. It had a long catwalk along the back wall, clearly made for spectators to watch something. A large screen was hung above the sculpture of a hand doing a sign. Both Team 7 and 10 were in the group of ninjas standing with their team in a line. He could see Jonin-sensei on the catwalk behind them, along with Anko and Taiya. The group of genin remained silent as Sickly Man walked back and forth looking at his watch. My name Hei Jekko, and I am the proctor of the third part, the Chunin exam. He coughed loudly. Okay, you all made it through the third part of the Chunin exam. But seeing as there are so many of you, we decided that needed to have a preliminary tournament to shrink the playing field. So the man finished with a loud string of coughs. Each of you will be randomly placed against an opponent. The fight will go until either one is knocked out, or I call the match, she explained to the group. All the genin nodded their heads, and made their way to the catwalk. Naruto, oblivious to the glares he got from Niji Hayagagara and Tamari and Kanko. Oh yeah, I can't wait, Naruto exclaimed. He jumped onto the handrail and yelled at the screen, you better pick me first. Lee jumped beside and screamed, yes, I want to be first, just like my youthful rival. Suddenly the two were tore down from the railing. Calm down, idiots, Sakura screamed at the two. That is most unyouthful, Sakura-chan, Lee gasped loudly. Suddenly they heard a loud ding. What? Naruto hollered. That's not fair. Naruto whined loudly. Sakura Haruno Ino Yamanaka, you are the first match. Sakura whipped around at Hei's voice. Her name was on board above Ino's. Sakura shoved Naruto and Lee and flew off the catwalk. Ino followed at a slower pace. Hei'd raised his hands when the two kunoichi shook hands. Begin. Ninja art rope bind trap. Sakura exclaimed, blurring through her hand signs. Variation on snake bind death, Anko whispered to Kuronai. A thick rope flew out of a black mark on the bottom of Sakura's hands. Crap, Ino cursed as she barely dodged the bind. She went rigid when at the feeling of the kunai against the back of her neck. How? Only rope clone can use rope bind trap, Sakura whispered menacingly. Anko was smiling proudly. Only a month of slave driving Sakura had turned her from hopeless to a moderate kunoichi. Way to go, Sakura-chan, whatever wifey-chan did worked, Naruto exclaimed. Ino smirked and told Sakura do it, then finished this. Sakura locked eyes with the blonde. Replacement jutsu, what's the point? Sakura growled, and shoved Ino soundly in the back, nearly knocking her to the ground. Ino glared at Sakura, her mind filled with one question: when did Billboard Brow get serious? Sakura pulled up her shirt slightly, and stated as if she could read Ino's mind, getting stabbed will make anyone get serious. She suddenly went through another combination of hand signs. Naruto-style rope clone. She exclaimed, throwing out a scroll. Suddenly a darker brown version of Naruto appeared from scroll. What is that thing? Naruto screamed loudly. Rope whip fire, the false Naruto screamed with a Sakura-like voice. Unlike Naruto's rapid fire, the clone just snapped his arms down, bringing down on Ino. Ino parried the crack of the whips. That is one of Sakura's own creations. After watching you training with Shino and Hinata, she came up with it, Anko replied. Rope full sickle, the clone snapped its whip-like leg across Ino's belly, sending her flying into the wall with a crack. That's freaky. Naruto shivered as the clone copied his gum moves. So Billboard Brow have to hide behind another's abilities again. She coughed a bit of blood as the Naruto clone put more pressure on her belly. Sakura walked forward with a sadistic grin on her face. Yes, I based this clone off Naruto. She sliced into Ino's cheek. Virgin blood always tastes best, she whispered sadistically into Ino's ear. But this clone is far from being Naruto. Ino went through her own hand sign, finishing with a triangle formed by her fingers. Mind transference jutsu. Ino's eyes closed for a second, before Sakura blew up into another rope clone. Damn it, Ino cursed again. Fell for it, Ino, really? Sakura called out from her position sitting in front of Team 10 on the handrail. Quit toying with her. Sakura Shikamaru sighed quietly. She's toying with her, Asuma gasped loudly. How much did you teach her in a month? Asuma gasped loudly. A lot. Turns Sakura is a quick learner when she's driven, Anko replied calmly, sending a cold glance at Kakashi. Sakura cut it. Now let's see your Jujutsu, Anko ordered. Yes, sensei. Sakura dropped off the handrail. Hey, watched her land with a smile. Naruto clone resealed. The clone pinning Ino disappeared, replacing it was a small unassuming scroll. Before taking her stance, every jonin snapped their heads to Anko. Is that Kakashi started? Yes, but Sakura added some to it. You taught her, Hibi, Kakashi muttered. Only partially, Sakura added, and subtracted. Anko grinned. Ino went into the standard academy Jujutsu stance. Come on, Sakura snapped her fingers backwards tauntingly. Ino suddenly flung her hand. I give up. I don't want to see what the snake style is. Winner of the first match is Sakura Haruno Hate called. Ino, what was that? Naruto hollered. Get back in there, kick Sakura's butt. You idiot, just because you're super strong and have powerful taijutsu doesn't mean everyone does. The second blonde screamed. You're just scared, Naruto countered. Of course you saw her jutsu. I don't want to be on the receiving end of her taijutsu. Asuma shook his head partially from disappointment, but mostly to stop himself from agreeing with Ino. The two Kunoichi shook hands. I agree with your decision. A month ago I would have done the same, Sakura told Ino truthfully. Come on me next, Naruto exclaimed. Yes, it would be youthful if I went next. Lee yelled beside Naruto. Kurenai sighed beside Naruto, and Guy hollered yes. My youthful student believed flames erupted in their eyes, and Lee hollered, yes Guy sensei. Lee? Guy sensei. Lee? Guy sensei. Lee? Suddenly a wave crashed behind the two. No Naruto French Franks would be the same without one of the epic Guy Lee hugs. Sensei-chan, what type of genjutsu is that? Naruto asked as the two hugged tightly. The Might Guy, Rock Lee kind, Kurenai replied as the other teams backed off. Kiba and Zuka versus Dosu Kanuta. No Lee, and Naruto wailed. Dosu looked at Naruto, and then at the dog boy who was already in the center of the arena. Come on. Kiba barked. The white puppy on the ground barked at the cyclopean sounding. This should be interesting, Kakashi yawned. Why is that? Asuma asked. Kiba is an extremely balanced fighter using his natural instincts and clan taijutsu, along with some of the more advanced jutsu I taught him, Kakashi stated, his eye never leaving Kiba. The two shook hands. Quickly begin. Dosu swung his large arm. Kiba dropped to his knees. A loud ringing echoed from Metal Gauntlet. Funny, the Inuzuka senses are the greatest asset, but their greatest weakness. Dosu punched Kiba across the face. You see me, Melody arm was special built to destroy a certain person's equilibrium. Guess, his hint previous chapter, he smirked. But because of the high frequency it's just as effective against him. Kiba growled lowly as the man kicked him in face. You're an idiot. Kiba started going through hand signs. Wind style. Dosu swung his arm 3 more times. Both Kiba and Akamaru winced. Fang twister. Everyone covered their face as the twister continued. Dosu felt himself being flung into walls, the ground, the ceiling. His entire body burned as he crashed into the ground. Kiba breathed heavily as the wind stopped. Akamaru held tightly in his arms. Combining the drilling fang with wind-based chakra, he created a deadly new version of the drilling fang. Along with this fang tornado, Kakashi explained in his usual bored tone. You underestimated my abilities. He grabbed Dosu by throat. I train under Kakashi Haddock for a reason, Kiba growled, releasing the sound. Winner Kiba and Zuka Hate called. Suddenly Kakashi blurred beside Kiba. He sensei Kiba greeted tiredly. You need to remember Kiba that the Fang Twister is still beyond your level, and to only use it when absolutely necessary. Yes sensei, replied Kiba weakly. Come on, let me be next, Naruto, and Lee hollered. Will you two idiots cut it out? Sakura hollered. A loud slap echoed loudly, and the two teens rubbed the back of their sore heads. All come Sakura-chan. They sighed in unison. Shino Aburame vs Sasuke Uchiha. Shino gets to go first. Naruto hollered. Come on. I give up, Shino sighed. What? Naruto ran and grabbed Shino. Get your ass on the field now. No, Naruto, Sasuke will beat me, and kill a lot of my bugs with his fire-style jutsu, along with the way Shino explained. Kurenai sighed. Shino gave a slight nod, and their Jonin sensei relented. Fine Shino if you're sure. Don't let him back out, Sensei-chan, Naruto begged. I can't force Shino to anything, Naruto. Hinata Hyuga vs Niji Hyuga. Now Hinata. Lee and Naruto both jumped up onto the handrail and exclaimed, when's my turn? Niji breezed by Naruto coldly, followed shortly by Hinata. She looked at Naruto and gave a faint smile. Lee gave her large thumbs up, and Naruto grinned brightly. You'll be great, Hinata, Naruto stated firmly. Hinata rushed down the stairs, Niji still looking at Naruto. You should give up now, Niji stated icily. We're the same, you and I. Hinata looked at her cousin. The biggest disappointments to the Hyuga family, but for much different reasons. I am a disappointment because I am the first prodigy the Hyuga clan has seen, and you're a failure. Hey, shut you arrogant, Naruto started cursing, but Kurenai grabbed his mouth. There's no use fighting me, you'll just end up getting hurt, Niji explained. Byakugan. No, you're wrong, I'm stronger than you think, Hinata squeaked. Byakugan. Failure, you can't change fate. The two Hyuga shook hands. I'll win for you, Naruto. They're getting in the same stance, Naruto whispered. I guess the Hyuga have one set fighting style, Naruto mumbled as the fight began. The two started snapping their hands back and forth, dancing around each other, parrying and swerving to avoid the other's attempt. All that training Naruto has really helped her, Byakugan, Kurenai whispered in awe. She's gotten stronger, Niji thought. But she's still a failure, he added as an afterthought. Hinata backpedaled twice, barely avoiding Niji's double strike on her shoulder and stomach. What is she planning? 8 trigrams. She put her arm squared with her shoulder, her left arm slightly ahead of her right. Is that Shino started? I think it is, Kurenai cut him off. Naruto's style. Rapid fire, Hinata finished loudly. What is it, people stealing my abilities? Naruto grumbled childishly. Niji backpedaled quickly, his body moving fast as he slinked, dodging the wild strikes of the rapid fire. In Jutsu, he suddenly snapped his hand. Both Hinata's hands were blasted apart. Unimpressed, he slammed his open palms into Hinata's body. Hinata was blasted off her feet and sent rolling across the arena. Facing an inferior jutsu off and even more inferior taijutsu combo. You're wrong, Hinata gasped. Pushing off the ground, she shakily got to her feet. I'll beat you, she vowed. She ran full blast at him. Again they started striking at each other. It worked even if slightly. Niji's slower guy muttered as he watched the two trading blows. Why? Asuma asked randomly as the genin watched him. Hinata snapped her head to the side, just barely dodging the attack aimed for her forehead. It's not the same as Naruto's rapid fire, right, Naruto, Kurenai mumbled. Yes, it's much different, Naruto acknowledged. Kakashi had his Sharingan eye exposed as he explained, unlike Naruto's all-out brawl rapid fire, which is basically meant to break bones to slow down or beat an opponent into the ground. This aimed for the muscle tissue, unlike most gentle fist strikes that aim for specific points. Hinata hyper-concentrated chakra, so instead having to aim for those specific points, she can aim for any point with muscle tissue on the human body. Hinata's chakra control rivals Sakura's, Anko stated. Niji growled lowly, it doesn't matter what you did to me, I am still better. He brought his fingers down again, this time hitting Hinata in the shoulder. Niji shoved Hinata in the exact same point, her belly. Forcing her back 2 steps, blood dripped out of her lips. 8 trigrams rapid fire. Hinata again launched herself again, her arms became a blur of movement. Niji smirked. I'll wait for my moment, and then suddenly he caught the weak point in the rapid fire. He again slammed his hand straight into her wrist. Strike. No, every member of Team 8, both his hands were in the center of Hinata's chest. Blood sprayed out of her mouth as she was blasted off her feet. She slid against with a loud bang. Niji spun around and was about to go up the stairs when he heard Hinata yell weakly, I'm not done. Proctor called the match. She's in no condition to fight. Niji snapped. Gum grappling hook. Hinata felt the hand grapple the back of her sweater. She snapped her head to Naruto as she flew towards into teammate's arm. He's right. Hinata, you were great. Kurenai attempted to grab Naruto, but he already disappeared. Niji stopped abruptly as the straw hat appeared in front of him. You were right, but you better hope we don't meet in the finals, or I'll rip you limb from limb. No one hurts my teammates, he growled. Failure, Niji stated as he pushed by the blonde. Naruto swung his arm back, but felt a hand grab his wrist. Naruto looked back. Guy was shaking his head. Right, Guy sensei. Naruto Uzumaki vs Tamari of the Sand. Tamari dropped her fan as she looked at the straw hat. Yes, she whispered to herself. Great, I have to fight a girl, this is no fair. Naruto whined as walked into the center of the arena. The two shook hands. Naruto smiled broadly. Tamari growled and pulled an emerald slingshot out of a pouch. Tamari Kankuro muttered. The slingshot really. Naruto laughed loudly. Begin. Impact shot. Naruto instantly dove to the side, barely missing a spinning brown shell-like ball. The impact shot slammed into the blowing up loudly. Shrapnel slammed into Naruto's back. What the hell? Naruto exclaimed loudly. Spread shot. Naruto again barely managed to dodge a spray of little silver balls by diving into the air and spreading his legs as wide as they would go. Cannon shot. She pulled released a pitch black ball which immediately expanded to quadruple its normal size. Balloon. Naruto blew himself. Like I thought. She pulled the 2 more balls out of her pouch. Let's see how rubber stretches when it's frozen. Suddenly the crystal started glinted white and she released. The cannonball ricocheted out of Naruto as it burrowed itself in the wall behind Tamari. Just as he shrunk to his normal size, the white shot slammed into him. The entire room suddenly dropped 10 degrees as a wall of snow drove Naruto 2 steps. Is it? Naruto growled lowly. Gum rapid fire. He started flinging his hands forward, but his body didn't stretch. What's wrong with Naruto? Teiya asked as Naruto looked at his own arms. He can't stretch because he's cold, Kankuro stated calmly as Naruto avoided 3 more standard shots. Tamari growled in frustration as the blonde boy avoided each of her shots. He was clearly shaken by his inability to use his gum but was trying to hide. Oh, I get. Naruto's like a block of rubber, Kakashi whispered as the boy did a backflip. That's why Naruto's body runs at a naturally higher temperature. It's to keep him malleable. Enough of your games, just stand still so I can end this. Naruto slid to a stop as she pulled out another impact shot. Fine then, Naruto roared, his eyes never leaving the crater that the first impact shot made in the wall. Take your best shot. Tamari smiled and released her impact shot. Naruto. He heard as the shot rocketed at him. She caught a faint smile on his just before the entire building was rocked to its foundation. Naruto. Well, I am going to end this part for now. Make sure to like and subscribe. Love you my fans. Goodbye.